Good morning. I want to talk to you this morning about something that scares me, something that keeps me up at night. The genesis of this talk, though, doesn't come from something that's happening here, something that's happening around this world. We've seen many news stories about young men that have died in college from excessive use of alcohol. 8 men were charged with manslaughter at Penn State for their role in an alcohol-induced death. A local family, well known to many of us here in this room, lost their smart, athletic, and caring son, who died tragically at Lafayette earlier in September. It's a sobering and important conversation. As a school, we applaud our successes, and as any good family does, we also pause when we need to talk about a pressing issue. I need each of you to understand and hear that this comes from a place of deep care. You're not invincible. You're not indestructible, and bad things happen to good people. Rarely when we act do we think the consequences of our actions are real. We never believe that that bad outcome could possibly happen to us. This ignorance, this misguided belief in the invincibility of youth, that's what keeps me up at night. We worry about you. We worry that you will make a bad choice. We worry that you will choose a path that you can't recover from. This is in our DNA, of our faculty and our staff. We care enough about each of you to feel this way. This is why CM has hosted talks about opioids and the crisis that surrounds their addictive power. We care about you all too much to not pause today and ask you to think. This is why your parents send you here. Ask yourself, why do young men drink in these destructive ways? Why do so many young men feel compelled to consume alcohol at earlier and earlier ages? Why does this vicious cycle continue? Here's what I believe. I believe that at its core, people are engaged in excessive drinking because they're scared. They're scared to show their true, authentic self with others. Many men use alcohol to mask their emotions and hide behind ways of being that are stereotypical and easy to perform. I believe that young men are afraid of rejection. They're scared that they won't measure up, that they will not be able to be who they think they ought to be, or whom people think they ought to be. They're fundamentally scared that their true identity will not be accepted when shared openly. I believe that young men make destructive decisions because they have a misguided understanding of what it means to be a man. I know this research, I know this data, I've studied it. I've also worked with many college men who've made tragic decisions due in a large part to excessive drinking. I've been there to welcome them back from hospitals, jail. I've had to talk to young men that were suspended from college for things that they've done when they were blackout drunk. Being inebriated does not lead to positive outcomes. We live in a culture that glorifies binge drinking. It's part of movies and television every single day. Our liquor industry has an amazing marketing departments, and they infuse that in our heads at a very young age. Being a man is not equated with the number of shots or beers that one can drink. Doesn't make you any tougher or frankly any more important. It's much harder to take the opposite approach. it's harder to be counter-cultural. Jan sporting is a slang term now used by college students. This means that students put backpacks on their extremely intoxicated friends at bedtime to, in theory, keep them from rolling on their backs, vomiting, and choking to death. Jan sporting doesn't work. It's an urban myth. It's an excuse that equates to half-hearted care performed by quote-unquote drinking buddies. It's not an act of friendship. The reality is that in these moments, these intoxicated students, they need real help. They need medical attention. It's been my firsthand experience at the university level that these drinking buddies, they don't reach out for help because they don't care enough to do that. I need you all to understand that you must ask for help, that it's much braver to call for help than it is to do nothing. That's what it means to be a friend. I mention this as I never want any one of you to be in danger, to make a bad decision, getting behind a wheel of a car or not seeking help for a friend in trouble. I need you to hear our voice in this conversation. I need you to realize that each of you are unique and special. Searching for community through drugs or alcohol, it's not a real community. There will always be people out there willing to drink with you or use drugs. Believe me that this group will not take you closer to whom you desire to be. They will take you further away from your true sense of self. This is a group, they are not cool, and they are not heading on the right path. Our culture gives you mixed messages. I get it, gentlemen. Our state has legalized marijuana. Every TV ad on Sunday is for Budweiser. You have to hear our perspective. Marijuana, cigarettes, vapor cigarettes, they're incredibly bad for you. They're not good for you. They are not cool, and they do not help you in any way, shape, or form. In fact, they distort your reality, they weaken your identity, and they provide a falsehood or a mask that leads nowhere. Being a man is not determined by hoisting a beer or smoking a joint with your friends. Camaraderie and true friendship are built in other ways. Don't fall into that trap that so many do. See the world with clear eyes and be yourself. Be confident in yourself and know that you are special and you are unique and that you are loved. Here at CM, we forge real brotherhood. We have bonds of friendship. Those come through conversations, tests, trials, and real, honest to God, true experiences. We talk often about poise in class. We talk about being Christian gentlemen. CM provides broader models of masculinity that you need to follow. We want you to be you. We want you to be authentic. We want you to explore your talents and gifts that God has given to you and provide those to the world. Remember that we stand together. We are a diverse group with young men with many different talents and gifts. We need not be cool, fall into stereotypes, or be ordinary. Dare to be great, dare to lead, dare to help a friend, dare to stand up for what is right, dare to call for help, dare to say no, dare to be authentic, caring, and loving. Be positive agents of change. Use your voice. Do what matters. We are here to help. We expect more of you, and we demand that you expect more of yourself. It is worth it. And I pray, as always, that we live Jesus in our hearts forever. Thank you. Closing, I just want to mention a few highlights. Jack Manning and Will McDonald received letters of commendation for the 2018 National Merit Scholarship Competition. Their extraordinary performance on the PSAT placed them in the top 3% of 1.6 million students who took that test nationally. I would ask both of those young men to stand and be recognized.
Does that mean they're coming to Harvard?
If you're lucky.
Fly, yeah.
Freshman Liam Gill won the Catholic Conference Championship in golf, shooting a 39 on 9 holes. Liam, would you please stand and be recognized? And finally, Mr. Beatty received a voicemail from Mary Dowd Eberly, who lives on LaGrange Street in West Roxbury. She called about the behavior of 30 CM students who attended a lecture by David McCullough at the Clow Lecture at BC. She reported to Mr. Beatty that she was surrounded by these young men who were dressed so beautifully in their blue blazers, khaki pants, white shirts and ties. She was impressed that they were not focused on their cell phones during the presentation at all. She commented that the CM boys were incredibly well behaved, even better than the adults or the college students in the room. In fact, she said one CM student gave his seat to an older man. She said, and I quote, "I can't tell you how impressed I was. I'm very proud of you, your school, and those boys. I had 2 brothers who went to CM back in the 60s, and I've never been more proud of CM than I was at this moment." I would ask those gentlemen to stand. Thank you very much. I want to thank all of you for everything that you do each and every day. Continue to make us proud. Thank you very much.